ladies and gentlemen, I still don't know if you can hear me over this. It's the 4th and 1 podcast. Welcome back with you. Well, I always, okay, hold on. We're waiting. I don't like getting into my spiel when the music is still going of like live from Lancaster and in this case, Williams
Town.
I always get port and town.
You almost said Berg.
I almost said Berg, which is, none of these places are close together in the state of Pennsylvania, which is my favorite part.
No.
Obviously, 4th and 1 podcast, Instagram, everywhere you get us besides TikTok is at 4th and 1 podcast, all spelled out. TikTok is 4th and 1 pod. We should really have a link tree or something somewhere. Listen, this is the worstest podcast in the world. We are brought to you by you guys, the fans. Go ahead, like, subscribe, and comment. Do all those things that you always do. I very much appreciate it. Engagement helps us grow. Growing means that the podcast will go from worst to first. Speaking of, we got the Red Rocket himself, not CFB3.
That's me.
In the house, the number 1 rated Miami Hurricanes in the dynasty. What's going on, Robert? What I see a comment, sassy comment.
Unfortunately, even though I've won all my games, they have bumped me to number 2. Because
who did they replace you with?
They put Ohio State at 1 because they beat the 3 and 5 Penn State Nittany Lions.
Well, per usual, and let me get this one up and running here real quick. I gotta go to the S's. Because it's sorry, Mom. As always, fuck Ohio State. Even just the thought of the university is upsetting to me. However, I do not play the victim mentality. However, the Ohio State user is doing great stuff. I am 3-3. Just a quick recap for those of you who care, which is none of you. I am 3-3. I lost badly to Louisville, even though I got a second chance thanks to some storms that rolled in on Sunday evening. So that's fun. And Micaiah, I think, has 1 loss. No losses?
1 loss.
One loss.
Lost in a simulation.
Oh, this week.
Yeah.
I am eating an age-old Schlicker snack because I'm hungry and my boss decided to ask me like 15 questions and I'm eating into the microphone because, well, actually, sorry, Mom. It's what I do. 15 questions right before I clocked out at the end of the day. So it's been a busy day. Robert's been very grateful. We're going to jump right into things. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all living creatures of our God and King, Saturday, for those of you who don't know, I watched some high school football this past weekend, some Georgia football on ESPN or ESPN2 because there's nothing else better to do. And on Saturday, we have the return of the one and only college football. And your host, AKA, I had a better nickname that I came up for myself today. We'll be taking you through it. Micaiah is off in the mythical land known as the state of Maine. No one knows exactly where. His body may be getting buried as we speak in the backwoods.
It's true.
Of Maine or dumped into a bog somewhere. Who knows? It's Maine. So you get me and Robert in case you haven't on it. And this is stroke. And this is our timeline for the podcast. I don't know what to call this. The rundown. We're gonna give you week 0 picks. There's only 4 games right off the bat. We'll also sprinkle in just a little bit of suggestions for betting. Then we're gonna go over, of course, our pick for the conference champions and our pick for which probably Robert's gonna have to explain for me for the 3rd time how to pick for the college football playoff. Sorry, brain fart there for a second. Robert, does that sound good to you?
Hey, I'm ready to rock and roll, brother.
No one cares.
Okay,
Amen.
so we're gonna jump straight into just going straight into week 0, we're going to start with probably the smallest game here. That is FCS School flying literally across country to Honolulu, Hawaii to take at 11:59 p.m. local time. Sorry, our local time, Eastern time, I should clarify. 11:59 Eastern time. At the Clearance TC Ching, I'm not racist, that is what it's called, Athletic Complex, as they take on Hawaii. The over-under is 57.5. Hawaii is favored by 39 points. Didn't know Hawaii was ever favored by that much since about the mid-2000s or early 90s, whenever they had that powerhouse of a program out on the big, not the big island, but the islands. Robert, who you got here?
Well, I took Hawaii just because that is going to be Delaware State has to fly 10 hours and 18 minutes. That is a long flight.
I have food
Nonstop.
in my mouth.
Yeah, that would be a nonstop flight. Obviously, I would assume that they got some layovers, but there's going to be some serious jet lag. And
So
Hawaii,
Delaware State is in Dover, which is in the middle of the state. So
doesn't make it any better.
let's bop. No, that's what I'm saying. Let's bop this out, because here's a fun fact for you: that you're getting mouthful of peanut butter chocolate and freaking tortilla. Delaware is the only state in the union that does not have a commercial flight flying into it. There's your fun fact. No? You don't care?
Yeah, I would say it's a pretty fun fact, just because I would have never have guessed that there's not any commercial flights flying into Delaware. So nobody ever wants to go to Delaware. Everybody wants to leave Delaware.
That's fair. They all fly into Philadelphia. So from Delaware State to Philadelphia International Airport is an hour and 15 minutes. From Dover to South Philly is an hour and 15 minutes. Then you're flying, I'm assuming you're flying out of Philly. To be fair, you could probably fly out of Baltimore too at this point. They're far enough south. Or Washington. And then 10 hours, probably layover, I would assume, because it's Delaware State. It's not chartered in LA, probably, San Fran, something like that.
They might have 2.
Yeah, they could hop, we're talking logistics here on the 4th and 1, baby. That's how good this podcast is.
I'm sure they're even flying into Chicago O'Hare, or they're flying into Denver.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would hope that they got a connection, like at least they're going cross country for the first and then to the second. But who knows? I would love to know. I wish, Robert, if you want to do something this week, reach out to Delaware State players.
Let me hear these travel plans.
And I want to know what their travel plans were. Do you think they left today? Today is Tuesday, August 20th, when we are recording this. You think they're leaving tomorrow?
I bet they actually left yesterday.
Spend the whole week in Hawaii?
Well, because you figure you're losing almost a whole day, if not potentially 2, just in travel. And then, because you're not going to leave like Wednesday to get there Thursday. You know what I mean? I would assume you would leave Monday.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out when they...
Today at the latest.
That's when Residence Hall... Wait, that's... Sorry, I'm attempting Homecoming's the 21st. I'm attempting to find the start of... There we go. Fall payment due date. Welcome Day is August 24th. So this weekend is the start of the school year. So I could see them having flown out that day. Yeah, guys. Yeah. Again, game no one's going to watch. Surprisingly, not the cheapest game on this week's docket. We're going to go ahead and move on before we get too deep into the weeds about Delaware State and their plans against Hawaii. We're going to get an angry text from Micaiah. Why in the world did you guys do this? Okay, yeah. SMU is going to Reno at Mackay Stadium to take on the Nevada Wolfpack. SMU probably up there as favorites, or at least a dark horse. We'll get there later for the ACC. At least for me that they are. SMU is favored by 25.5. Over under is 56. Oh, guys, take Hawaii. Technically take Delaware State plus the points there.
Yeah.
Go ahead, take the over just for kicks and giggles. But honestly, flip a coin. I don't really care what you do there. SMU minus 25.5. Over under 56.5. This game's at 8 p.m. Eastern on CBS Sports Network. That honestly, of the 4 games, this is number 2 that I would watch, just because I want to see what SMU does, and I might actually watch this game.
Yeah, this game, because you're going to see SMU coming out in that air raid system for the second year, going up against a Nevada team that notoriously does give people problems. So even though SMU is a 25-point favorite, I like Nevada at plus 25.5. But for SMU to still win it, kind of almost like a small shootout. First game of the year, you got the jitters, trying to figure out what's going to work, what's not going to work.
Not only that, first game in the ACC, they were in the AAC last year, where they went 11-3, 8-1. Obviously, Micaiah would remember how many returning starters, or whatever. But they came in first. This is Manny Diaz's offensive coordinator before 2020 offensive coordinator. He started with SMU in 2021 as their head coach. I agree with you. I think this is going to be an SMU show all the way. I really want to take SMU minus the points. I think it's the right way of saying that. I think they're going to cover. But I don't know. I think you're right. This is surprisingly the cheapest game on the docket of games, assuming that they're not giving tickets away for free or whatever in Dublin, which we'll cover a little bit later. I am going to take the over, though. I'll take the over. I think you're right. I think it's going to be a shootout, which is why I'm not confident that it's going to be an SMU runaway. So I'm actually going to take Nevada plus the points, I think, and SMU and over, but SMU outright, which we will jump over to the 4 p.m. slot. We got a 12, 4, and 12 a.m. game for you, basically. This Saturday, the 24th, Montana State is going down. FCS Montana State is going down to Albuquerque to take on New Mexico, which, according to Robert's program that he found, is going 12-0. Do you even know? These are all Mountain West games, right? Because New Mexico's in the Mountain West too. Are they not?
Montana State's an FCS school,
right? But I'm saying Hawaii's Mountain West, Nevada's Mountain West.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm looking it up. I mean, who you got? This is going to be ruckus. This is going to be a powerhouse. They are in the Mountain West.
I mean,
the crowd's going to be all 3 people are going to be going nuts in the stands.
I like Montana State. I mean, I would take them probably the minus 11 as well. And they'll be like, oh, that's like the FCS beating an FBS school, but it's like, it's New Mexico. Calm down.
I want to see if I can find if even college kids will be on campus. Hold on. Classes in session. When does the start date occur? Fall biweekly. Really? You guys don't have a start date on your publicly available calendar? Oh, fall semester begins August 19th. So there will be students on campus. So they may have 4 people in the stands.
All right.
Do you know where just because we don't cover FCS enough, I'm going to take 2 more seconds. Do you know where Montana State finished last year?
No.
Okay. Well, I thought you might. You're going to be paying attention to Division III football this year? You sent us that really cool document.
No, not really. No.
Maybe you'll look once or twice for the year.
I'll take a glance, but what it'll be is I'll take a glance at the PA schools in Division III, and then I'll wait until December when there's nothing on TV, and it's like, oh, it's a D3 championship? What's going on here?
Let's
Oh,
go.
Wisconsin Whitewater's playing again?
All right, I'll take it. They finished third in the Big Sky Conference, finished ninth overall in the rankings. Idaho and Montana were ranked above them. Idaho 8th and Montana 2nd. So they went, and this is what I love about FCS football. In 2023, they went 8-4 and 6-2 in conference and came in third place.
Nice.
So basically, what I'm seeing is they are the Penn State of the Big Sky Conference. Is kind of what I'm seeing right there. Yeah, I'm going to take Montana State. Also, is favored to win this game. I'm going to take Montana State. I'll be nice and say I'll take actually New Mexico plus the points over under 54.5. Who knows? Let's take the over for fun. It's a pro style offense apparently in Montana. Wherever they are, Billings, or I don't know, that's the only Montana city I know. Okay, big game, 12 p.m. local time. That's noon. It's on ESPN. It's at Avaya Stadium in Dublin. It is technically FSU at Georgia Tech. Florida State. This is the first that we're going to see on a very hot coming out of last season Florida State team. They're favored by 11.5 points, as they should be, to a Georgia Tech team. Don't think returning anything. Hasn't done much for years, if ever. That's not true. They did beat out Cumberland 222-0. So they have been a historic powerhouse. Let's put it that way. So I'm excited for this game because it's always a fun kickoff. That's like 4 p.m., 5 p.m. in Dublin. No idea if either of these schools have started yet. Probably. Who knows? There's probably like 5 frat guys already drunk pre-gaming the school year for Florida State. Who you got and why, Robert?
Well, I'm taking Florida State. I like Florida State, minus 11. That's kind of an easy one, I think. Both teams, there's not going to be any excuses traveling-wise because they both traveled the same place. DJ's going to get like his first taste back in
Transfer,
the ACC.
Oregon State, yeah.
Yeah. Originally transferred from Clemson.
From Clemson,
First time back in the ACC. So it's not like it's the first time he's played Georgia Tech. It's not the first time he's seen a defense like that. I just think that they're going to be a team that's going to come out and they have to prove it. They got something to prove. They got mollywopped in the bowl game against Georgia, so they got to come out. They got to prove it, and I think they'll at least prove that they're better than Georgia Tech, which ain't going to be really that hard, but
it's a good kind of like tune-up game for them. I'm interested to see, obviously, I believe Avaya Stadium is either a soccer ground. I'm going to get crapped on in the comments by my parents if I don't look that one up. I agree with you. I think this is a 14-point game, FSU. I wouldn't be surprised if there are 1 or 2. Like Georgia Tech gets a pick 6 or something like that. Something
it'd be really early too.
Yeah, just I'm expecting sloppy play. It's a rugby ground. There's also, is that soccer rugby union? So it's a rugby ground, I think soccer ground. So both. Sorry, Avaya Stadium. Just wanted to clear that up. Yeah, I'm just expecting remember who was it last year? It was Notre Dame and who? Navy? I'm trying to remember who this game.
Or it might have been them and Navy.
It was like something like that, and it was just like, ugh. Like you saw, who was their quarterback? Will. No, that's their current quarterback. Who was their quarterback last year? He got drafted this year, and I'm freaking blanking on his name. Notre Dame, yeah.
Sam Hartman.
Sam Hartman. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
You saw Sam Hartman look rusty but good, and you're like, wow, Sam Hartman looks good. Notre Dame looks good, but they're playing.
They beat Navy pretty good.
Yeah.
But then it was like the next week you were like, what is this team?
Yeah. You're exactly getting where I'm going. So I'm interested to see how Florida State's different because that was a first-year coach for Notre Dame. This is obviously Mike Norvell's, I think, 6th season, so he has to do something. He has to poop or get off the pot. I know I already swore once this episode, but at least be nice before we do anything. So I am pumped. Honestly, it was like a 70-degree day here in Central PA. I wore long sleeves most of the day. It smelled like fall. I am ready to go. I am excited. Robert's standing up. I don't know what he's doing.
Crazy. I'm getting crazy right now.
Yeah, for
it's
real.
College football week.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. Hold on, I got a perfect.
My name is Jeff.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
All right, let's head over to what you guys all came here for. Unnecessary picks at the beginning of the season that will not hold up at the end of the season. We're gonna go over and go ahead and pull our picks for. I think I said this. I don't remember. I could be getting out of a line here, so sorry. Our picks for the playoff, the 12-team playoff. This is the first year of the 12-team playoff. We're excited. We're ready to go. We're here. We're pumped. It's football season, baby. Let's go. So,
Big Ten football.
It's Big Ten football. Go ahead, Robert, and explain to people like me who still don't know how it works. So it's five conference winners, 4 conference winners.
So you get
Pac-12 doesn't exist anymore.
You get your top 4 are your conference winners, and then your 5th seed is the highest ranked conference winner after that. So that's like you'll end up with somebody. And then I think the 12 seed ends up being
probably coming from the American is what you're trying to say?
It could be. But the way I was reading it is they have to be if the American conference winner isn't in the top 12, they will be number 12.
Got it.
So that's I think how they're getting away with it, and then everyone else that's ranked outside of the conference champion. So like if the conference champion is number 4, but the number 1 team obviously didn't win, it's like, well, then that team ends up like number 5. So it's like they just kind of get spread out from there. It's going to cause a lot of issues, I think, because somebody somewhere is going to be getting screwed, and it's going to be a team that has usually not been screwed before.
Yeah. Makai didn't quite think this through because this, or maybe I didn't, and I said this in the wrong direction, but this basically gives you who we think our conference champions are too.
Kind of. Yeah.
So I don't know. This is a hard one. So let's actually do this. Let's go Power 5. Who we think we're going to win, and then we can kind of get into that. And then at the end we'll cover the Power 5 or Power 4 now, sorry. And then the group of 5 now. I guess technically it's still group of 6 because Pac-12 just moved down a division.
Yeah, I'm not sure how if they're gonna have Oregon State finished better than Washington State, so they're the Pac-12 champ.
But what if Oregon State? This brings up a good point. What if Oregon State goes 12-0, right? And they beat Washington State. Is that who's left in it? It's Washington and Oregon State, right?
Right. Yeah, Washington State, Oregon State.
Washington State in the championship, and now they're 12-0. But I don't know. I don't even know Oregon State's. It's not a good schedule. I know that.
Well, I think they're going to be trialed just the same way as Notre Dame is.
Right, but that's my point. Is Notre Dame has a much. Let's compare the schedules. So this is a really good. They're basically playing Mountain West schools. What the fudge? Thank you.
Well, yeah, because they formed that alliance.
Oh, is that what they did? So they play.
Yeah.
They play Idaho State, San Diego State, Oregon, Purdue, Colorado State, Nevada, UNLV, San Jose State, California, Air Force, Washington State, and Boise State. So yeah, and I'm sure if I look at Washington State, their thing is very similar. So obviously a 12-win, by the grace of God, as they would say, a 12-win Catholic. Sorry, I did the cross, which screwed me up. A 12-win Notre Dame Irish team would have a much stronger record against a 12-win Oregon State or Washington State team.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a great response. I'm glad we had that discussion. Notre Dame plays Texas A&M, obviously. Northern Illinois, MAC. Then they go to Purdue, Miami of Ohio, Louisville, Stanford. I like saying that. I know it's Louisville. Stanford, Georgia Tech, Navy, Florida State, Virginia, Army, USC. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that's a much likelier of a conclusion to come to. Who knows? You know, like, to me, if at this point, unfortunately, if Oregon State and Washington go, even if they both go 12, one goes 12-2, 12-0, the other goes 11-1. It's like that's like a Mountain West school going 12-0, 11-1. Unfortunately, at this point, even though in theory they would be better, I don't think either of the teams will. But yeah, we're about to find out. I would not want to be their coaches. So okay, let's go ahead and start with the SEC. Who you got coming out of the South?
I have Georgia winning the SEC.
I would agree with you. I think it's going to be them in Texas, which is a spoiler alert for later in this playoff. But I Georgia's been there before. Texas hasn't, really, is what it comes down to. And by that, I mean their players have been there before. They were formidable last year. We just all seem to forget that. And I don't see why they were not going to be probably the consensus number one. I think we all had them going like 11-1 or 12-0. And mind you, you can have this is a 1-loss or even 2-loss championship team that's going to get in. So I think with Carson Beck back, that's huge. And they always just recruit so well. Which reminds me that we got to talk about our favorite coach.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
Let's go over to the Big 12 real quick, and then I want to talk about Mike Gundy himself. Who you got coming out of the Big 12?
Kansas.
I love that. This is interesting. I'm on Yardbarker because I have to remember how everything starts up. Yardbarker.com has the Fighting Mike Gundys, the Fighting Mullets in Oklahoma State from Stillwater, not Clearwater, coming out on top. I like Kansas State here. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be interesting. And honestly, I think it's going to be whoever team is injured the least. So I'm going to piggyback off of you. I'm going to say Kansas too, just because I want to.
The Big 12 should kind of be the more entertaining conference out of the Big 10 and the SEC. Like the Big 10, we kind of know who the top ones are.
Yeah.
SEC, we know where it's like the Big 12 could be Kansas, could be Kansas State, could be Utah. Like
could be Oklahoma State. Like it's
it could be. We know it's not going to be Colorado, but it could be those four teams. So it's like that's. And again, we could
I'm in danger.
Colorado.
We could very well end up like with a 3-4 loss Big 12 champion.
Yeah,
in the playoff.
That again, this is why I said I like the FCS a little bit better. Going back to harkening back, how many teams are in the Division III tournament? Their playoff like 20 some. Isn't it? Or like 18? Like it's a ridiculous amount.
No, one of them wants to do the same thing the basketball does with 64.
Right. Ridiculous amount is still like they're playing. I think they're playing 6 conference games total, like each team, because that's how many playoff games there are. It's a quick season for those Division III guys, which is fair because they have to. None of them are flying anywhere if they can help it. Yeah, dude. The Big 12 is going to be the fun one. The Big 12, hands down, easy. Yeah, let's go Kansas just for the sake of this conversation. Mike Gundy also told players to stop asking for more money. That's what I wanted to talk about. I didn't read
He'll
the
be the
article.
next one to retire.
Micaiah sent us a screenshot. He's obviously on vacation, and Mike Gundy's like, guys, we're in the thick of this. You need to stop asking for more money. I'm tired of it. Like, wait, which is hilarious to me, right? You're a 5-star cornerback. You're probably getting $50,000 at least from a school like Oklahoma State, and for the year. You're a junior or senior, and you're going up to your coach and going, dude, I locked down our number 1 wide receiver. We haven't played games yet. I want $50,000 more. And why? Like, do you know what would happen if I called my boss up tomorrow at 8 a.m. and went, hey, boss, I know you just got in. Man, dude, I've been doing great for you guys. I've been closing so many tickets. I've been locking stuff down. I've been staying on top of us. I've been making friends. Dude, clients for life.
Making friends.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you gotta. It's all about the network. It's about who you know, not what you know, baby. Let's go. I want another $20,000 from you a year. I would get, Simeon, I'm reporting you to HR.
Yeah. We need to send you down to Quest Diagnostics, and we need a urine sample.
We need a urine
'Cause you are
sample
high.
immediately from you, sir. That's not how you talk to me. Go F yourself, dude. I'm not paying you more money. I'll find someone else. Guys, save it for the offseason. You're gonna get paid. You're gonna get paid next year. Robert, you've been sending us that money that they're now allowed to pay players, and it's gonna be you're making 6 figures next year.
Yeah. I mean, it goes up.
If you're a graduating senior, you're either good enough to make the NFL, well, you'll be making high 5 figures, low 6 figures, or you're going to have to hit the real world anyway, where you're going to be making low 5 figure, or mid 5 figures.
Yeah, it's a bunch of players that, like, if you were, all right, we'll just say Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
All right, you deserve it. You're one of the best.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels, one of the best.
Yeah.
But a cornerback who wasn't, you're not selected to be All-American, not selected to be All-Conference. Like, brother, I could just call somebody right now and we'll get the transfer portal bumping and we'll get someone else in here.
I'm more thinking like even Jalen Daniels is a bad example because we didn't know who he was going to be last year. We knew he was a good quarterback, but he played at Arizona State.
But if he's coming in, this year, like if he was coming back and he's saying like, hey, coach, I deserve a little more. And it's like, yeah, you won the Heisman last year.
Right. But you're coming to him at the end of fall camp and going, I want more money. Because that's how I don't know if you read that article. That's how I took that article. Kids were coming to him at the end of fall camp and going, I want more money. Because I locked up Trevor from West Illinois High prep school all practice. And I'm looking great. And I gained 20 pounds. And it's all muscle, baby. Like, no, stop. Guys, stop. You got to stop. Okay. Let's move on. That's number 5. Who are we missing? We did Big 12. We need Big 10. Of course,
we need the Big 10. We need the ACC.
Yeah.
I mean, Big 10. It's either going to be Ohio State or it's going to be Oregon.
Unless things go sideways real fast for one of those two teams. Right? Unless right now it's looking like Alex Orji coming out of Ann Arbor just decides to light it up. Or whomever. I'm trying to think of another team. Penn State
Drew
somehow
Aller
gets their stuff together.
To be the Heisman. Or Raiola at Nebraska figures it out, or
whoever's at UCLA. Yeah, unless
those two.
Again, this
built
is
to win right now.
I don't mean to be rude to the Big Ten, but this is another conference that those top teams having 2 losses as a winning conference champion. We've been talking, we being the podcast, have been talking this entire offseason as if one of these teams is going to be the conference champion undefeated or with a very close 1 loss. I think we're wrong. I don't see any reason. Now, granted, with the way the schedule's set up, it's only going to be at most 2. Like if you're doing 3, you're not going to be a conference champion.
Right.
But things could go sideways for all of these schools, and all of a sudden, Michigan drops to, I'm trying to remember, USC and Oregon. And they all trade losses, and all of a sudden we're looking at 5 2-loss teams at the top of the division, at the top of the conference.
Yeah, I mean,
that seems more likely than anything.
That's obviously a worst-case scenario because then somebody gets in on a technicality and it'll be Penn State and Ohio State because that's just how the Big Ten is.
Yeah.
But
well, Penn State, the rule of the college of technicalities. Dear Lord. I'm more high on Oregon. I don't know why. I don't think Dan Lanning has necessarily proved himself. I think Bo Nix carried him last year. But I'm, for some reason, a little bit higher on Oregon than I am on Ohio State. Probably just my bias. So, I mean, I'm not tracking. Guys, we're not tracking this. I'm not covering this for you at the end of the season. But, like, if Micaiah wants to write it down in the pod topic notes, he can. But, yeah, I don't know, dude. Or it's a coin flip for me between Oregon and not Michigan and Ohio State.
Well, the good part is I think both of them play each other during the season.
So we're going to know.
But they could play again in the conference championship.
Yeah.
So we end up like going. They could honestly
they play each other
series
October 12th.
Right. That's the good day. That's when all the games are. But
that's week 7.
I think so. Yeah.
Wait, no,
but
1, 2. Yeah, it's a skip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep.
Yeah. So like they could split the series, and maybe at that point they're ranked 3, 4, 1, 2. Like who knows? And now it's like, you just have someone's ranked number 1 or in the first 4, and then the other person's sitting there at 5, 6, 7, 8. Then maybe we get a third rematch.
Yeah. That would be interesting. We'll obviously cover that here in a second. Let's go to the ACC. I think this is a toss-up between if SFU, if Mike Norvell, whoever's not Travis Hunter, whoever, what's his face, Jordan something's replacement, Jordan Travis? What's the quarterback that just left?
Yeah, Jordan Travis.
I was right. Yeah, I got there.
So they have DJ.
Oh, they brought in DJ. That's right. Yeah. I keep forgetting they brought in DJ because their backup did so well. I don't know who his backup was last year when he got injured. Dude, Clemson looks reloaded as the guy who's playing as them on the game. Clemson looks reloaded. I don't know how Miami looks to you. You obviously have to play around with some playbooks. I obviously did too, but like, I don't know. I think this is This is like a 3-team at best, but I think this is either Clemson or Florida State.
I took Miami.
Okay.
I think because looking at it, Miami's schedule was a lot more favorable than what Florida State and Clemson's was.
I actually have to realize I have to write this down if we're going to build this correctly.
It's miserable trying to do it because it took me an hour to get 6 through 12, and it's a nightmare. Just so you know.
Okay, so never mind. I'm not going to write this down.
Nightmare.
These are our picks, and then we're not. I guess we'll attempt to rank 6 through 12. We're going to do this. You have Miami. Why do you have Miami? Finish your thought first.
I have Miami based off of the way that their schedule's laid out, that they don't like their heavier games, I believe, are in the beginning of the year, and the end of the year is really soft. Like they get Florida State super early, so then I think Florida State and Clemson play kind of in the middle.
They do. It's like
and I think
4.
that will do more damage than what Miami's was. So Miami could probably lose one early,
Yeah.
And then finish off with like one loss and make the championship. Where if Florida State loses one early or Clemson loses one early, they both like Clemson doesn't play Miami, but Florida State does. So it's like the way that their schedules look, I wasn't a fan.
That's fair. I think Clemson has a pretty weak schedule as far as I'm concerned, minus I forget who they play at the beginning. Oh, well, never mind. I'm wrong. They play Georgia at the beginning of the season. They play South Carolina at the end of the season, and they play FSU in the middle. So it's either going to be FSU or Miami. I think only from a conference championship perspective, I honestly think it's going to be FSU. I think DJ's going to do enough. And they had enough, if I'm remembering correctly, they had enough returners that it's kind of like, why aren't we talking about them?
Right.
So I'm going to take SMU. I'm sorry, not SMU. Maybe SMU, but not, I'm going to take, sorry, my wife is calling me. I'm going to take FSU over Miami. They haven't proved enough to me yet. Okay, so that gets us our 5. We're gonna say that the 6 will be the group of 6.
Well, it gave us our 4.
That gave us our 4. So
those are our 4 conference champions.
Oh, and the group of 6 gets the number 6, correct?
No,
they get the number 5, right?
So theirs goes by
record.
It's like, so when they win their, it's like it's between the AAC, the Mountain West, all them.
Yeah.
So whoever wins, you have all the conference champions.
Yeah.
If they are ranked in the top 12.
Yeah.
Like the best they could be, I think, is 5.
Okay, perfect.
But
so I'm saying
for none of them are ranked, or if they're ranked like 13, 14, whatever, they can only be 12. So I put mine at 12, just as a continuity.
I think for the sake of I agree with you. I think the likelihood of them being ranked that high is small. However, what was the final college football ranking 2023? Maybe it needs to be 2024. No, it's this one. So the final ranking, according to Google, the all-powerful Googs, once my computer decides it wants to work here. Oh, there was not a group of...
Well, it would have been Liberty.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who was ranked 25.
Right, but they were higher than that before the bowl game. So before they made the selection, because they played Oregon.
Wait. Well, wouldn't the selection have to be made after the conference?
Yeah, once they go and they play all the conference.
So they would be 25th final. They would be 25th.
Yeah, but I don't think they were 25th before they played the bowl game.
All right, let's look at week. What do you want? Week 12? Or do you want? Or do you want? I guess it would be week 11. Let's look at week 11 to make you happy. You selfish. Okay. Here, we'll go to ESPN so we know what we're looking at. Sorry, I'm working on a laptop that needs restarted bad.
So the highest they were was 18.
Okay, so 12 is actually more realistic.
Right.
Most likely. I think
more than likely, yeah.
Just because, man, Louisville was ranked 9th.
Yeah, they kind of like came out of nowhere.
Who was their coach and where did he go?
Did he go to Purdue? Didn't Purdue and Louisville like flip flop?
Did they?
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
I think so.
Weird. I forgot Tulane got ranked high. They were 18th. So yeah, that makes it hard because I really wanted to throw them at 5 just for the sake of the. But like the statistics say that like a team hasn't been ranked that high since UCF. Probably, if I'm guessing, in like 2016 or whatever.
I think so.
Probably back when Dale and Gabriel was there. But he's not that old. So that puts him at 12. Who do you got? Let me ask you that question.
So I put Boise State.
So this,
but that's what makes it so hard, is because you have to choose one team out of 5 conferences,
which is fair. But like, I'm having an argument with you of like, does an undefeated Boise State team, who I guess would have to play one of the 2 Pac-2 schools,
right?
Or as I'm going to call them, the Pac-Men schools, because there's 2 of them. Yeah, but like again, dear Lord, I mean, Tulane's in there in the American. I'm trying to remember who's still in the American. I wouldn't be surprised if they come back. Obviously, you have Boise State out of the Mountain West. They're always good. They have their quarterback who was there last year has gotten a lot better. You obviously have Oregon State, Washington State. We can't forget those 2 schools who know how to recruit at least. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, Tulane could win their conference and be ranked 22, and Boise State could win and be ranked 20. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even that, like, yeah, at a Conference USA, Liberty has 1 loss, is clearly light years are better than Boise State, Tulane, and
thank you.
Like,
we forgot about the Sun Belt, Fun Belt. What if JMU runs it back for a 3rd straight season?
I mean, they could.
Speaking of the Fun Belt,
they just have to make sure that they're the highest rated conference champion outside of the Big 4.
Yeah. Okay. So Charlotte, East Carolina, Temple, Army, Navy are now in there as football members. Tulsa, North Texas, UTSA, Rice, maybe UTSA resurrects somebody. Florida Atlantic, South Florida, UAB, of course. Maybe UAB finally seeks revenge and takes out Alabama or something like that from making them cancel. Dude, I don't know. Let's just say, for the sake of the argument, and again, we're not writing it down, it's going to be Boise State. I don't think so. I think it's going to be whoever comes out of the American.
Yeah.
I just think the American's better than the Mountain West, but, JMU could do it if somehow they do it. Who do you got for... Okay, so that's the first 5. Dear Lord, there's 7 more. Who do you got?
And then it gets even worse, because now it's like, okay, without knowing how any of these teams are ranked, where you're like...
So we're going to do this.
I put 5.
Yeah.
I will give you my 5 through 5, 6, 7, 8, 5 through 11.
Okay.
Because I have Boise State at 12. So I have Texas at 5.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Oregon at 6.
Okay. Yep.
Notre Dame at 7.
I hate Notre Dame messing this up for us. Because technically...
they're being independent.
Well,
I said, I'm going to curse. It's bullshit. They are in a conference for every sport except football and hockey.
They should technically be the 12th spot then.
Bullshit.
They should technically be the 12th spot then. Why do we get to treat them separately? Why are they their own division?
Because the way the college football,
because they had a deal with NBC by themselves.
They say it's by rank after that point.
It's by rank after that point. They should be 12. Yeah. And the Power, they're not in a division. They're an independent. That's its own division. There are 3. They're in really bad company with 2 other schools. There are 3 school conference.
Yeah. Yeah, if the playoff committee would do it right, which they're not going to do because it's Notre Dame.
If the NCAA would step back in and grow a pair and finally run this program and just give the bowl games all the money, this wouldn't be an issue.
100%.
But the NCAA hasn't had nuts since the Supreme Court took them away from them in the 80s. And so here we are, where we have to put Notre Dame at number 7 because they're a big enough name, even though they're technically an at-large bid. And that is what pisses me. And that's what grinds my gears. Okay, so Notre Dame at 7.
8, 9, and 10. I could flip flop either way. I have Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Bama.
Oh, but hey, Ole Miss isn't a bubble team.
Oh yeah. Listen, he's not here to argue with you today. We'll save that for next week. Ole Miss, Bama, and LSU.
I hate that argument so much. If the bubble works two ways, if you make it, you are on the bubble. So you just put Ole Miss on the bubble, even though they made it, right?
Well,
so
Ole Miss. Technically, my bubble.
Yeah.
My bubble teams would be like Tennessee, Michigan, Mizzou, and
yeah. There's a good question.
State or Oklahoma State.
Who are your Who are your first three out? Who's 13, 14, 15?
Probably Michigan, Tennessee, and Missouri.
I think Missouri running it back is a fun one. I think Texas is shooing at number 5. I'm really curious to see what Alabama looks like after week 3.
Yeah.
Then we're going to know, right?
Number 11 I have is Penn State, by the way.
I'm trying to make this show family friendly.
Because they're gonna get in with 2 losses because that's what they do.
Right, but are they actually going to have 2 losses this year? Right, because a 2-loss Michigan State, 2-loss Michigan State team. That's interesting. A 2-loss Penn State team coming back in the new Big Ten, which they need to change the name. The new Big Ten is like a 4-loss Penn State team, technically.
Yeah, kind of. But we're looking at Penn State losing in early November.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time for everyone else to just... Because everyone's schedule always gets harder beginning of November all the way to the end. And Penn State's hardest game is Ohio State, November 2nd. And after that, you get Washington, who has nobody on their team anymore, Purdue, Minnesota, and Maryland. So they finish off those 4 games with 1-2 losses. They're sitting at 10.
And Minnesota's another one of those teams that, I feel like, I've been saying this for the past 3 years, but PJ Fleck all of a sudden could have flipped the switch. He got a quarterback from somewhere, and all of a sudden his team's powering through and beating Wisconsin, sort of situation. Wisconsin is probably going to be up there, I would assume. Again, I'm a second year. That's my thing. I think Luke Fickell in his second year, we're going to have a different team. Nebraska, obviously, you're big on them. I'm also semi-big on them. But I'm looking at, my dark horses being SMU, Nebraska, and I'm going to say Wisconsin, I think.
Right.
Actually, I'm going to switch that. I'm sorry, Wisconsin. I'm subbing you out. And I'm adding one. So Mizzou, I think, is fair. Mizzou and USC. I don't think it's fair. He's not good in the playoff. Doesn't mean he can't get the team there for Lincoln Riley. So my dark horses are those 4. Wish I could remember them, what I just said 2 seconds ago, but I can't. I think Texas at 5. SMU, who was it? SMU. Sorry, it's going to bug me. SMU. Anyway. So, sorry. My brain is fried today. So, Texas at 5 is a no-brainer. But then you go 6, 7, 8, 9. Whoever comes in second. Whoever comes in second. Let me do it this way. Whoever comes in second in the Big Ten. Texas is obviously second in the SEC. So I think whoever comes third in, so that's second is 6. Third in the SEC is also, I think, a lock. I think third in the Big Ten is a lock. I think second in the Big 12 is a lock. And I think the last team in there, and I think this is where we're going to have the argument, is either the 4th team from the SEC, which is, I think, where the argument's going to be, because we're going to have bias,
Yeah.
But the right move would be either the third team from the Big 10 or the third team from the Big 12. But honestly,
we're actually going to figure out if strength of schedule matters. Is what that we're going to have to look at.
That was a beautiful transition, Robert. 10 out of 10 work.
I mean, hey, that's what we do here on the Fourth and One podcast. But that's what,
Well, Dad, here's the deal. I'm the best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
Are we actually going to look at that? Are we going to look at... So even if strength of schedule should be determined at the end of the year, it should not be determined during, because you could play, like Penn State could be ranked number 8 right now. At the end of the year, say they go 7-5. And it's like, well, they beat number 8 Penn State in the beginning of the year. It's like, yeah, but they're not ranked right now. Like, that's dumb. Like,
I think
it should be determined at the end of the year.
Barring an act of God or injuries, specifically to starters.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because I don't think it's fair, because if your starting quarterback goes down, I think that was the argument for Florida State last year, right? Starting quarterback goes down, they still win the game, they go undefeated, and you pull them out because you're an SEC fanboy, which I think we're going to have. I think it's going to be the fourth SEC team that comes in, the Missouri or whoever, Ole Miss, whoever it ends up being, Oklahoma. And we're all going to look, and we're going to look at salty Big Ten fans and go, what did General F? They're a 3-loss SEC team. You can't actually tell me that a 2-loss Michigan, Penn State, whoever, 3rd place, 4th place team is better than the SEC.
Right.
I don't know if this is what Micaiah wanted out of this episode. I know this
he's getting, my man.
It's what he is getting. That's the wrong thing. That's a transition. I think that's a perfectly good place to end it. Guys, we're going to see you next week. I'll say it for Micaiah. Wash your hands. Fourth and One podcast, everywhere you get them. We'll see you next week. Week 1, baby. Let's go. Welcome back.